couple of girls talk about this and that, get familiar with Blue and the charmed ones too. Charm Chats. You've been listening to the musical stylings of me bored with my ukulele. I did this once before. Kat made me cut it out because we forgot to turn off the air conditioner and she didn't want to fucking edit.
Yep.
Which, granted, I don't blame her, but come on, dude, 30 seconds.
It was more than 30 seconds. It was like 2 minutes.
It was not 2 minutes!
It was 2 minutes.
No, it wasn't!
It's fine. This will get edited too.
You fucker! I hate when you do this to me! This is kind of gaslighty, actually. Because now everyone can't understand my frustration. And why I'm suddenly pissed during the episode because you keep telling me you're going to edit shit out. And then I seem unreasonable.
Hey.
How is that fair?
Whoever said it was fair.
My house, my rules, bitch. Like, come on. Hey, Blue.
Blue, calm down.
We forgot to make him naked.
We did forget to make it
Okay, naked time.
Naked time for doggy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you get a nice audio example of his tags.
Yep.
There we go.
See, this is the stuff. Oh, thank you. This is the stuff I normally edit out. We'll see if I edit this out or not. Welcome to Charm Chats with Kendra and Kat.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Peeps.
Hello, peoples.
Peoples of the world.
Yes. Blue.
He's done.
Chillax.
He's done. He was just adjusting.
Chillax,
He wants to be a comfy donut.
Puppadoodle.
Mm-hmm. We missed National Donut Day, didn't we, doggo?
This will be out way past National Donut Day.
I know, but also, I woke up this morning and was like, I want donuts. I don't want to drive. Oh, well, I guess I'm having yogurt.
There you go.
Yeah.
That'll happen. We're up to episode 212.
Yes.
Very, very excited. But before we get to that, we have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful shout out to do.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. We want to thank Kenneth Pricer for the amazing donation at the $20 tier, which is the reason for the shout out at the beginning of the podcast.
Yes. Thanks, Kenneth. You got us over our $65 goal.
Yes, very, very exciting.
Woo.
So, we shall now shout your name into the ether. Kenneth! Nice. We thank you very, very much for bringing us over our $65 goal. We are very, very excited. We are now up to wanting our $100 goal.
Yes.
So that hopefully we can actually start paying stuff off.
Yeah.
The hope for our $100 goal is that we might be able to get better audio equipment, like recording stuff.
Yeah.
So that hopefully the random audio issues that we sometimes get, because we're using the free software that is Audacity, #not-sponsored, we will actually be able to get something not free that actually, works properly.
Yeah. I was told by a friend that my computer was too old and I should not have it anymore.
It is a bit old.
And he determined this by me telling him that it still had a CD drive. And he's like, yeah, you need to replace that. I'm like, but it works. He's like, not that well.
I have a CD drive. Well, no, I don't have a CD drive. I have a DVD drive. But...
Well, yeah, but mine's a Mac. They got rid of those. Everyone who gets Macs knows when they got rid of the CD drive in the MacBook Pros. So he was able to date it from there and go, that's old.
Mm-hmm. Personally, your computer still works. I mean, I think you
Hell,
just...
my one upstairs still works, and that's older.
Well, but, you just need to clear off some of the random crap that's on it.
I know.
And then it will work better because it will have less random crap and therefore more memory. And be able
All
to...
Alone in the Moonlight?
Yes, I have sung that song before.
So have I.
I won some competitions with that song. But that's a story for another day.
Ah, yes.
Let's get to this one, shall we? Episode 212 is the episode Awakened. Ooh. It aired on February 3rd, 2000. I was not looking forward to this episode.
You mentioned that.
Yeah. But not for the reasons that I wasn't looking forward to the last episode I wasn't looking forward to. I don't hate this one nearly as much.
What was the last episode you weren't looking forward to?
The wedding one.
Oh, right, yeah.
My least liked episode ever.
I swear you've not looked forward to other episodes since then.
Yes, but this one was almost on par with that one of I was not looking forward to this one because I remembered this storyline being very cheesy and obnoxious. But as I was watching it again, it wasn't nearly as bad as I had remembered it being.
Yes, I was about to say, this is not exactly on par with that. It's not very good.
Yeah.
But it's not, what did we rate? Wedding from Hell? 2 and 3 respectively.
Yeah, I gave it a 2, you gave it a 3.
Ha, I was right.
Yeah. This one, not nearly as bad as that one, but I was not looking forward to it. And then as I was watching it, I realized that it was much more bad in my head than it was actually watching it.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. So, let's just get into it, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. So, we start with an exterior shot of P3. There is no now appearing sign or the secondary P3 sign on the wall outside.
Does it come back later?
I believe one of them does.
Of course it does.
Yeah. There's lots of people standing in line to get in, but it doesn't look like a shot we've had before. It's at a slightly different angle. It looks like there's slightly different people. So there's that. Inside, we see Piper at the bar. She's cutting up some yellow spiky fruit. I'll tangent on that in a moment. She's wearing a top that's like a grayish-green thing that's like spaghetti strapped.
Would you say it was mossy colored?
Maybe. And we can tell, she like moves around a little, and I can see that she's wearing like bottoms to match, but at this point, not sure if it's a skirt, pants, a dress, like, no idea. But she doesn't have a bra on, because it's a spaghetti strapped outfit. So she coughs, and she gets a little glass of water, takes a sip of it, and then Phoebe comes up to the bar, wearing many shades of pink. She's got a pink hat.
At least 50.
No, at least like 5.
I'm kidding.
Yes. She has a pink hat with, like, red starburst shapes on it, a pink shirt with flowers all over it, and a pink fuzzy sweater thing over top of that.
With a pink bag.
Yeah, with a pink bag that is 2 different shades of pink, and then the strap is a 3rd shade of pink.
Would you say she's pretty in pink?
She's all right. We learn that she has apparently been working at P3 off and on, and has enrolled in college for 9 classes, 7 of which are electives.
Which Piper definitely comments on.
Yeah, I totally would have done that. In fact, I did do that. I took college courses, all of them were electives. Because school and I did not get along very well. So, Piper coughs, making Phoebe concerned, like the sister that she is, and we learn that Piper's basically been burning the candle at both ends. But at least the club is doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Phoebe picks up the knife that Piper was using and a piece of fruit, and she asks what the fruit is.
Piper says it's a kiwano from South America and is apparently great for Mai Tais.
Yeah.
Can you hear my air quotes?
Yeah. So this fruit is indeed kiwano. That really is the fruit that it is. It's a vine, actually, fruit. From the cucumber and melon family. Mm-hmm. It is also known as horned melon, which is what I knew it was, jelly melon, which is just funny, hedged gourd, or African horned cucumber, because it is a native of sub-Saharan Africa, not South America.
Although, to be fair, it is now grown in the U.S., Portugal, Italy, also Germany, Chile, Australia, and New Zealand.
Yep.
Like, lots of places.
Yeah, lots of places. But none of those are South America except for Chile?
Well,
because isn't Chile in South America?
Yeah.
So it's the only place that it could be. So...
possible.
It is possible. Whatever. The taste of the kiwano has been compared to a combination of banana and passion fruit, which sounds kind of interesting, or a combo of banana, cucumber, and lime, which is also
Very
an interesting. Yeah. So it probably is good in a Mai Tai, but I wouldn't know as I've never had one.
I don't think I like Mai Tais. I think they involve tequila.
Well, I'll link to Mai Tai and all of that stuff on the website, of course, because, yeah. I think Mai Tais are actually rum. Rum and curacao, I think.
Okay.
From what I'm remembering of my...
Maybe I'm just remembering, like, various Mai Tais at different bars that involve tequila for some reason. Like, they put rum and tequila in it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Mai Tai is the Tahitian word for good, though. So that's, always interesting.
That's Mai Tai.
But yeah, it's a rum drink. Whatever. Anyway, back to the show.
Not a vodka drink?
No, not a vodka drink.
Or a whiskey drink?
That's right. We are not Chumbawamba. So we learned that the bartender apparently...
has a friend at the docks.
Yeah, he has a connection on the docks.
And apparently got them past customs.
Yeah, the fruit has been smuggled in, much to Phoebe's chagrin and concern.
What I understood wasn't that it was smuggled in, it's just that they didn't take that crate through customs.
Right, so it wasn't quarantined and, looked over and, checked and whatever.
It just didn't go through all of the processes of customs.
Inspected was
with
the word I was
regard to
looking for.
fruit.
Yeah.
So, technically legal, but they just, rode off a
No,
crate.
not technically
Well, no.
legal.
I mean, when it arrived, it was legal, but when they gave it to her, it was not, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, because it was not inspected. Yeah.
Whereas, I don't know, I always interpret smuggling as, like, it was never legal in the first place to bring it in. Like, if it's a fruit that's banned and you bring it in anyway, then that's smuggled.
Maybe.
Whereas this is just, like, you know...
It's not inspected and therefore... Yeah, I guess so.
It's just a little verboten. It's just boten.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's actually a word that would work.
I don't know either, but I mean, I wouldn't... honestly, the German language is so fun. I wouldn't put it past them to have, like, just that kind of a convention in the grammar somehow.
Yeah, possibly. Don't know. I do not know enough German to know.
All I know about German... Well, okay, not all I know, but one thing I know about German is that they're big fans of just sticking two words together to mean a third completely different thing. Okay. Like Knickerbocker. Or Lederhosen.
Okay.
These are all two individual words that are stuck together that mean a third thing.
Alrighty then.
Mm-hmm. Schadenfreude is a pretty
word.
Famous one.
I love that word.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's pain joy, something like that.
Yeah.
Or cruelty joy? I don't know. I don't know what the direct translation for Schaden is. I know Freude's joy because Beethoven.
Yes.
Guter Funken.
Anyway. So Phoebe, again, is concerned, but Piper blows her off, and Phoebe reminds her that being witches doesn't mean they're invincible, and tells her to take care of herself.
Waving a knife in her face.
Yeah, she's holding the knife and, like, waving it around. It's very funny. Piper then jokes about her being a doctor, and we get a cute moment of Phoebe enjoying the way that Dr. Phoebe Halliwell sounds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
Nah.
Like, no. Even if I didn't know it was coming many seasons down the line, that's never going to happen, Phoebe. You're smart, but you're not that smart.
I mean, she might get an honorary doctorate, but you don't get to call yourself a doctor with that.
No. And unless you're going to get, like, a doctor in, like, English.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you might get a doctorate, but you're not going to be a doctor. There is a difference.
Well, if you get a doctorate, you get to call yourself a doctor. But if it's an honorary doctorate, you don't.
Okay. Anyway. Then
left.
We cut... Always left. Always left. Then we cut over to Buckland's with no exterior shot. And we instantly know that it's Buckland's because we're shown a painting. You know.
Yeah.
Buckland's is the only place that paintings
That's
exist.
how you do.
Yep.
This painting that is being looked at is of a train station, and it's in various shades of white, gray, and blue.
Yeah.
And is in a very, very Baroque gilded frame.
Yeah, it's like gaudy.
That's why I said Baroque.
Yeah.
They are
indeed
synonymous.
So we see Prue looking at the painting, and Jack is standing behind her taking notes.
Presumably on the painting, but knowing him, probably not.
Well, Prue is wearing a green top with, like, little flowers on it, and it's got, like, some brown accents, and she's got a beige skirt on. Jack is in a blue button-down shirt and black pants, because he is nothing if not professional lately.
Yeah. In deep contrast to his girlfriend.
Well, yeah. And in deep contrast to his first few days on the job, too.
True.
Yeah.
And in deep contrast to his twin brother.
Indeed. Who we've never seen again, shall never see again.
Because he doesn't exist.
Yeah. Anyway. Prue is saying that the painting looks like a Monet, but there are some things that she finds questionable about it.
Jack is making sexual comments at every turn. Which is why I don't think he's taking notes on the painting.
Well, there is that.
And then Prue's like, dude, can you fucking focus?
Yeah, she finally calls him out on it. And he says that he wants to know where they stand, because apparently he's not sure. And then Mr. Caldwell enters wearing a lovely pinstripe suit.
Yeah.
It was very nice on him. He asks what they're doing, and we learn that this piece needs to be authenticated before an auction that's coming up, because he has 8 buyers interested in it already.
Which is a little jumping the gun, I would say. Like,
well, not necessarily.
Well, I mean, you're gonna advertise that you have a Monet when it hasn't been authenticated?
Well, you know, Buckland's is going a bit downhill.
Well, I thought Caldwell was trying to steer them around.
Yeah, apparently not.
I mean, I could see, you know, advertising it as a possible Monet.
Well, that could be.
Because that would relieve you of liability. But that's still what people would still be like, well, if it's not a Monet, I don't want it.
Yeah, well, you know.
I'd rather have a box of wine.
People can be snooty.
Yes, that's why I'm speaking like this.
Anyway, so Prue tells Caldwell that he doesn't have to worry about them, and he takes that, and then he leaves. And then Jack asks if he has to worry about them, because Jack is only worried about himself.
I was about to say one track mind, and I was like, no, I want it to be a one Jack mind. And then it went awry. It went off the tracks.
That's all right. It happens. So back at P3, because, can't stay in one place too long, we see Piper walking through a crowd, and Phoebe comes up to her, and Phoebe has taken off her fuzzy pink sweater thing, and we can now see that the pink shirt that she was wearing underneath is a very, gauzy material, and we can see her white bra through it.
Well, at least she's wearing a bra.
Yeah. Well, if she hadn't been, it would have been indecent.
Oh, yeah.
Because you could totally see through the pink flower shirt thing.
Yeah.
Phoebe tells Piper that she's sick, she needs to go home.
And Piper is in the middle of saying that she's fine and collapses.
Yep, she faints, hits the ground, and we can actually see now that she's wearing a dress. Cool. So the entire thing is like a one piece, or possibly like a two, over slippy thing. I don't know, whatever. But it was a top and a skirt or a dress.
Yes.
Whatever. Phoebe yells for someone to call 911, and we go to the opening credits, because that's how you do.
Mm-hmm. Fun fact, if you want someone to actually call 911, you point to someone and tell them, specifically, call 911.
Yes. Don't just yell out, call 911, because then everybody thinks that somebody else is going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Bystander effect. I think that's it.
Sure. So, when we come back from the opening credits, the post-credit song on Netflix is a song called American Doll Live at Reed College by Andy Starr. That is Andy with an I and Starr with 2 R's.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there. And it is off her album Supergirl. One word. The About page on her website, which is the only place that I could find any info on her, says that she is a classically trained pianist, identical twin, and pastor's daughter, who at 22 years old picked up a $100 guitar to help find her way out of the religious upbringing that no longer worked for her.
That sounds like it's a made-for-TV movie.
Mm-hmm. I'll leave a link to her website and stuff, as per usual, because there's literally nothing else that I could find out about her.
Uh-huh.
So,
yeah, you didn't even mention what year that album is from.
Yeah, no idea.
That's weird.
I want to say it was 2006, but I honestly don't remember if I read that someplace else or... I don't know. The post-credit song on the DVD, so the original song that went with the show, is a song called Lust by Tori Amos. Tori Amos was born Myra Ellen Amos.
Sure.
Yep. In 1963. She is an American singer-songwriter, she's a pianist, she's a composer, and she's a classically trained musician. She was also the youngest person ever to have been admitted into the Peabody Institute at Johns Hopkins University at the age of 5 on full scholarship.
What does the Peabody Institute even do?
It's something to do with classical music, that much I know.
Okay, that figures, because Johns Hopkins is also a medical university.
Yeah.
I know she wouldn't be doing her...
No, she was composing at the age of 5.
Okay, that tracks.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain it's something to do with composing classical music.
That's fair, yeah. Still, the fact this is the Peabody Institute at Johns Hopkins, and wait, she's a musician. Mm-hmm. At 5. Well, she wasn't going to med school.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But Tori Amos has had 14 solo albums since 1992.
She's a prolific one.
Uh-huh. And her 15th solo album, called Native Invader, will actually be out in September of 2017.
Yeah.
Yay!
Woo.
So, there you go. Of course, links, all that good stuff on our website. Because I'm nothing if not predictable.
Yeah.
So, we then get a shot of the Oakland Bay Bridge in the background of buildings, and it pulls back to give us a shot of the Triangle Building. And then we have a shot of a generic-looking hospital. And inside we see that Piper is lying in a bed, hooked up to some machines. She's in a generic hospital gown, and the bed linens are pink. I have never seen a hospital with pink linens. There's no way that you could keep them that color. That's why they use white, because then they can use bleach. The linens were shades of pink and a rosy, mauve-y, darker pink color.
See, my first thought is, well, what if the blood doesn't wash out?
No, that's why there's bleach.
Hey, have you ever stopped to think maybe they start off pink and then they have to bleach them so much that they turn white?
I have never thought that, because that's not how that works.
That's fair.
Anyway, so we get a lovely dramatic push-in on the monitors, and then we fade into a shot of Prue looking worried as she walks over to the bed.
Yeah, there's a couple of seconds of extremely tense silence.
Yeah, dramatic tension, roar.
Yeah, Piper then wakes up, and we can see Prue's all red-eyed because she's been crying.
Yeah, she got a little tear coming down her cheek.
Mm-hmm.
It was...
Yeah.
Yeah.
They talk a little bit about what happened, because, Piper just fainted, and she's fairly worried about the club.
Yeah.
And apparently they're waiting for blood tests.
Well, yeah, because they're not sure what happened.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And Piper has this great line saying it's probably something trendy like mono or Epstein-Barr.
Yeah, so I, of course, had to look those up. So I'm not going to go into detail because diseases and such. But mono is short for infectious mononucleosis, and it's actually an infection caused by the Epstein-Barr virus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently that's roughly the same thing?
They're not the same thing, but it's caused by.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'll put the links on the website for anyone who wants to read up on that because, just know that you are going to...
was terribly trendy for a while.
It really was.
Hearing it all the time.
It was. But so I'll put links on the website for anyone who wants to read up on it. But just know that you are going to be clicking on a link for an infectious disease, so click at your own risk. But fun fact, I had Hodgkin's disease, which has been linked to that same Epstein-Barr virus.
Huh.
Yeah.
And let's face it, if it's mono, Dan's going to be in trouble.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because mono is known as the kissing disease. That's not actually how that works, but yeah.
Well, it's just easily transmissible that way.
Yeah. But it's basically like, it fucks with your lymph nodes.
Yeah.
So your lymph nodes get really, really big, which is why when I had Hodgkin's, my mother thought I had mono, because my lymph nodes got really big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the little things that you learn in life.
Yeah.
So Piper then asks where Phoebe is, and we cut outside, and Phoebe walks up to, the receptionist desk, and she has her little pink fuzzy sweater thing back on. And the nurse has her back, facing Phoebe. But she turns around when Phoebe calls out to her, basically saying, "Hey, nurse person."
Yeah.
So this actress, who is credited as second nurse, even though she's the first nurse that we see, I'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
The actress is Monica Allison, which is apparently her first two names. Her last name is actually Beavers.
I can see why she wouldn't want that to be known.
Yeah. She's been acting since 1992. She's still doing stuff today. She was even in an episode of Dead at 21, which I think I've mentioned before.
You have. You made me watch the first episode.
Yeah. I love that show. It's a beautiful show. It's hard to find. It's hard, and it's hard to find any quality worth actually seeing, but it's such a good show. But yeah, so really quickly, I'm just going to say, because there are 3 nurses that are credited in order. There's nurse, second nurse, and Asian American nurse. That is how they are credited on IMDb. Nurse is a white actress. Second nurse is our Monica here. She is an African American actress. And then we have Asian American nurse, who is an Asian actress. I'm not going to say that that's the reasoning for their titles of their names, that the black actress gets second nurse, even though she's the first nurse we see.
Someone made her play second fiddle.
Yeah, just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not happy with that at all.
They probably tried to credit her as black nurse, and they're like, that's a little too... I was going to say racy. Controversial. Oh, man.
Yeah.
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 And then they just kept Asian American.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, man.
And the funniest part is Asian American nurse. I know, we hear her talk, but we don't get to see her face. She's got a mask on when we see her.
Yeah, but I remember her out of all of the 3, I guess.
Yeah.
Possibly because of where it was during the sequence.
Possibly.
Yeah.
We'll get there when we get there. Anyway.
Phoebe asks this nurse where Dr. Wallace is and gives her Piper's name, and then is told that Piper has apparently been transferred to Dr. Williamson's care, and is told to go back to the waiting area.
Yeah. So as she walks away, we get to see that there's a lovely static shot of a bar graph on the computer. Yeah,
Hi.
it's odd that there was no reason for it. It was just a random bar graph on the computer that looked like it could have been just a piece of paper put on the monitor.
Probably.
It was very funny.
Uh-huh.
So she walks over, she sits down on a bench in a chair or whatever, and a boy in a wheelchair comes up to her, and he's got a blue robe over pajamas that have a little sports theme. It's cute. They have a little cute interaction between him and Phoebe, and we learn that his name is Nathan, and that the doctors don't know what's wrong with him.
Just like Phoebe's sister.
Yeah. So, quick tangent, because not a whole lot. This actor is Andrew Ducote, D-U-C-O-T-E. However that is said. He was born in 1986. He started acting in 1993 on a show called Dave's World, which starred Harry Anderson, who is best known from the show Night Court. And I Loved that show so much. I will, put links on the website, yada, 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 whatever. As per usual with me. So, back to the show. Phoebe points to a ninja doll that Nathan is holding. And we learn that it was found somewhere in the children's ward, and he just kind of took it as his own.
Yeah. And Phoebe decides to, cheer him up, I guess. And so she kind of picks up and she's like, oh, this isn't really a ninja. It's a magical wizard.
Yeah.
She was clearly about to say witch. It was really cute.
Now, here's the thing. I don't understand why she stopped herself from saying the word witch. This kid has no idea.
Gender roles?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the doll doesn't have boobs, so she thought calling it a witch would be weird.
I don't know.
But anyway, she tells him that this ninja thing has the power to move things, freeze things, can kickbox, and can do all of that to the demon's bad guys inside Nathan's body. And she is moving the doll to show what he can do.
Yeah.
It's really cute.
Yeah, and she says that all he has to do is close his eyes and picture the ninja fighting for him.
He's like, well, I can do that.
Yeah. It was kind of funny that she mentions the kickboxing thing. That's the funniest thing to me. She goes, don't forget, he can kickbox. Yeah.
And then Dr. Williamson and some medical interns walk up to Phoebe. 3 medical interns.
Yeah.
That's a lot of medical interns.
Yeah, but, it depends on if it's a teaching hospital or not.
I don't know. Maybe my experience watching Scrubs has colored me. But
possibly. But then again, my experience watching Grey's Anatomy has colored me.
True.
True.
They're so accurate. Honestly, Scrubs is way more accurate than it has any right to be.
Yeah, there is that. Grey's Anatomy has way too many people having sex with each other in the hospital.
Yes.
Just saying. Anyway.
It's not sanitary.
Yeah, no. So, Dr. Williamson is played by Matthew Glave. He was born in 1963. He started acting in 1991, and he's still going strong.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot to say about him.
And he introduces himself and says that the interns are from the infectious disease department, which, if this already wasn't very intimidating, it surely is now.
Yeah, they're all from infectious disease. The interns are there because they're studying the same thing he is, And so they head into Piper's room, and he asks Piper if she's been out of the country.
And she kind of laughs and says, I've never even been out of the city.
Yeah.
Which
isn't true, yeah.
Well, she's not been very far. Wait, hang on. She's been to Hawaii.
Exactly. She's been to Hawaii, but I think he was asking if she had been out of there recently, and she said no.
Yes, and he tells her that she's got a rare blood disease called Aurora fever that's usually transmitted through the bite of a sandfly, which naturally dies right afterward.
Yeah. So, I honestly don't know if the way that it's transmitted, the way he says that it's transmitted, is the real thing, but Aurora fever is a real disease. It's also known as Carrion's disease because it was named after Daniel Alcides Carrion Garcia. He was a Peruvian medical student in the 1800s. He died in 1885 while trying to figure out more about the disease. He actually wound up, injecting himself in a failed experiment to try and figure out how the beginning of the disease correlated with the later stages of the disease. It was fatal. It was not a good thing.
No. Welcome to medical study in the 1800s.
Exactly. So then we fast forward a little bit. In 1938, a physician named Maxim Hans Kaczynski.
Yes.
Didn't even have to think about that one. I knew how to say that one.
Well, yeah, because you get the Polish names.
Yeah. He was a Polish-born...
Everything else I get.
Well, yeah. He was a Polish-born German Jew. He was born in 1890 in a part of Poland that is now Germany. Hence, Polish-born German Jew. He moved to Peru when the Nazis came to power. And he did a similar experiment, but he survived. So, as I was looking this up, this was the interesting bit that I found, right? So, this was 1938 was when he did this experiment, which is the same year that his son was born. His son is Pedro Pablo Kaczynski. He was born in 1938. Here's the best part, right? So, Pedro became the Prime Minister of Peru in 2005. He was the Prime Minister from 2005 to 2006, and is currently the President of Peru.
Wow.
As of 2016. He goes by PPK because why not?
Isn't that a kind of gun?
I don't know.
Walter PPK?
Possibly. I don't know.
I think that's a Bond gun.
Yeah, I don't know. But he goes by PPK because when your name is Pedro Pablo Kaczynski and you live in Peru, you're not going to go by the Polish last name.
No.
No. So there you go. I'll link to the wiki on the website, of course, and all of those pages and whatever so that you can read up more about it. But I just thought it was very, very interesting that we start out with this guy in 1885 dying from this disease that gets named after him, and we end up with the president of Peru.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Dr. Williamson asks if she's imported anything into her home. She says no, but then Phoebe reminds her about the fruit in the club, and the doctor says that the fruit could be a carrier, but that the flies don't usually survive the quarantine period that the fruit is apparently supposed to have when entering the country. Piper then mentions that she has a bite on her shoulder, which she got just after opening the fruit, and she shows it to him, and it looks like a large purple bump on her shoulder. And he tells one of the interns to tell the nurse to get him 10 cc's of a fake antibiotic called Peneloven.
Which is spelled like if you mixed penis and loving, but took off the last letters of each.
Yep. Take out the S, take out the G, put it together. That is
Peneloven.
That is exactly
Yeah.
what I thought when I saw that word. And I went...
It sounds like they were trying to make a mock-up generic of penicillin.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Peneloven. So after a bit more chat, he says he needs to run more tests, and he leaves. And then we get an overhead shot where we can finally see that Phoebe is wearing black pants with her pink outfit. Mm-hmm. And there's like some flower decals on the legs, but we don't really get a good shot of it. And then Phoebe does the adorable sister thing, where she climbs into bed with Piper.
The adorable little sister thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then she and Prue just kind of stare at Piper.
Yeah, there's a bit of back and forth, and Phoebe says that she wants to call Leo to heal Piper. Mm-hmm. Piper refuses, reminds Phoebe that, not only is she with Dan, hello, not relevant, but that no demon or warlock did this, so the doctors should be able to do their jobs.
Yeah, it's like, let's let the doctors do their magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need Leo's magic, we need doctor magic.
Mm-hmm.
So Phoebe then gives in, and she, rests her head on Piper's stomach. It was super cute. And Piper tells Prue to go back to Buckland's, and tells Phoebe to go back to wherever it is she goes to. And then asks one of them to call Dan so that he doesn't worry. And then Prue agrees, and she says, "Love you."
Aww.
Which is, I love that they still show her saying it. It's very nice. And then she and Phoebe kiss Piper goodbye, and they leave. So then we cut over to an exterior shot of the Buckland sign. No extras walk by. We get nothing, just the sign.
Oh, I miss my extras.
Mm-hmm. Prue walks into her office, and she has changed clothes. She is now wearing a black shirt that is thin enough to be see-through, with, black leather pants. Possibly pleather. Not sure. They weren't very shiny, though. I think they were actual leather pants, not pleather pants, because they weren't very shiny. They were kind of a matte black pant. But this is actually one of the more work-appropriate outfits that she's ever worn. She's completely covered, even though the shirt is a bit see-through. She's still completely covered. So, there's that. She's also wearing that amber necklace thing that I think she was wearing at the end of Heartbreak City, episode 210.
Okay.
I'm not positive if it's the same necklace, but it was a big amber stone on a chain. And since at the end of Heartbreak City, when she was wearing a big amber stone on a chain, we didn't get to see her wear it for very long.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that it is the same necklace, but it might not be. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. Yeah. Jack is in her office. He is now wearing gray pants, a tan shirt, and a brown jacket. It's very casual Friday.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Prue asks him if Jack's looked further into the Monet. He says he has. So she asks him if he's told Caldwell anything. And he's like, nope.
No, not yet. No.
Not as much.
Yep. And then he, remarks that she looks exhausted and she should go home. So I'm assuming that she's apparently been there for a while.
Possibly.
We have a bit of a time jumpy thing. We know
Possibly.
she's changed clothes, but, because she says, that she wants to keep busy, because with everything that they've seen...
Well, it's probably, the next day, because Piper collapsed in the middle of the night, right? No?
No, it's that day.
Yeah, but the club was open. The club doesn't open in the middle of the day.
No, but it's that same day, I'm assuming. Well, I don't think it's the next day.
Well, the club's open, late, though. So, Prue was probably just at the tail end of work when she got the call and left, and this was probably the next morning, I'm guessing? Because they're both in different clothes.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I feel like it's probably the next morning.
Possibly. It isn't really that relevant, at least at this point.
Well, I mean, she probably looks exhausted because she hasn't gotten a lot of sleep because she was at the hospital.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Yes.
Anyway. So
Prue's like, no, I just want to keep busy because I'm really scared about Piper.
Yeah, with everything that they've seen in the past, she's really scared this time.
Yes.
Because she can't tell Jack that, I've dealt with my sisters being, accosted by demons and warlocks, but this is a disease. I can't fix this.
Yeah.
So,
like, I've watched them both die, and this is pretty fucking scary.
Yeah. So Jack, of course, then hugs her, and he says that, he's not good at this kind of thing, like he doesn't know what to say, and then he realizes, she should just go back to the hospital, he'll take care of everything at Buckland's. But before she can reply, her phone rings, and she answers it, and it's a nurse telling her to get back to the hospital.
Nurse.
Yeah. Because, of course, we can't stay in one place too long, we jump over to the manor, no exterior shot. We see Phoebe and Dan walking into the living room. Phoebe is now in a brown fuzzy jacket, a cropped pink shirt, and blue pants that kind of look like scrubs. Like, I don't know how to explain them other than they look like scrubs. They were very, paper thin looking.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't... Yeah, I don't know.
Well, scrubs to me look basically like stiff bed sheets that have been sewn into...
Well, these are a little more flowy than that. But, eventually there will be pictures on the website. Hopefully. Who knows when I'll get to those. It'll happen eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. Anyway, Dan is in jeans and a gray shirt under a button-down shirt in a slightly different shade of gray, and he's got his work boots on, so, Dan wants to know if Piper's going to be okay. Phoebe says the doctors won't tell them anything. He asks if he can see Piper, and she says, yeah, she's at San Francisco Memorial, which is not a real hospital. I looked that up.
They hug, and he tries to be reassuring to Phoebe that Piper is strong and healthy, and she's going to be okay.
Yeah,
and then the phone rings.
Yeah.
Phoebe, and guess what? It's Prue.
Yeah.
Who's apparently added a fuzzy green jacket to her outfit, saying that they need to get to the hospital right away.
Yeah, so we cut over to the hospital with a bit of a time jump, because now we see Phoebe and Dan running down the corridor toward Piper's room. Prue is standing in the doorway, and apparently Piper's condition has worsened and she's gone into a coma.
Yeah.
Because, of course, she has. The doctor says that, her immune system isn't as strong as they thought it was, and the antibiotics are having no effect on the disease, so she either needs to pull out of the coma on her own, or she's gonna die.
Ah, so cheery.
Uh-huh.
Phoebe starts crying, because of course she does.
Yeah, as she is wont to do, and we see Piper on the bed with the oxygen mask on her face, and then we go to commercial break, because that's how this show works. Give them a whole dramatic moment, and then cut away. Is that standard
procedure to put a coma patient with an oxygen mask? I get the intubation, but that's not a mask.
Well, it is a TV show, so...
Yeah, but they love to show people with fake intubation tubies.
I don't know if that was, a thing in, the early 2000s, because there weren't a whole lot of doctor shows around in, 2000. There was, ER, I think, was, the only real
General
one.
Hospital.
General Hospital isn't a doctor show. It's a soap opera.
I know.
But, yeah, so, there weren't a whole lot of doctor shows. Now there's a whole lot of doctor shows, but there really weren't back then. So I don't think...
I feel like there were more than just two.
There might have been more than two, but there weren't a lot. I feel like
there were a fair amount, though.
I don't know. I'm not going to look it up.
I know Grey's Anatomy started in 2005, I want to say. 2004, 2005.
Yeah, but that was, 5 years after this episode.
I know.
So.
I know, but I feel like there were other precursors besides ER.
I don't know.
There's usually several mainstream doctor shows.
I'm a no-no.
I no-no, you a no-no. And we're back to the manor, looking up from the stairs.
Yeah, we love the exterior shot of the manor, looking up from the stairs. It's, again, a shot I don't believe we've had before. We see Prue and Phoebe walking into the attic. They walk over to the Book of Shadows, and Phoebe has taken off her jacket, so we can now see that the pink shirt is actually white on the back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Prue wants to find a spell to save Piper. Phoebe is naturally worried about personal gain, and is convinced that if good witches could vanquish diseases, there would be no sick people in the world.
Which is so true if you think about it.
Kind of. I mean...
if I could get rid of diseases...
Well, hang on. No, because diseases keep mutating. So, new ones can always develop, because, evolution.
But if you eradicate something...
Well, there would be fewer diseases in the world, certainly. Polio would not be a thing. It's almost not a thing now. We're slowly getting rid of malaria. Very slowly.
We had been getting rid of measles, and now that's back.
Thanks, Jenny McCarthy.
Thanks, anti-vaxxers.
Thanks, Andrew Wakefield, you asshole.
Oy. Anyway, let's not get political.
Too late!
Yeah. So, Prue says that they have to save Piper, which, of course, Phoebe agrees with. But she says that they should maybe try calling Leo first.
And Prue's like, Piper didn't want us to do that. Phoebe's like, fuck that shit. Piper's mad. She's at least alive.
Yeah, it's like, as long as she's alive, I don't care if she's mad at us.
And then Prue realizes that they don't know how to contact him because he's always just been there when they needed him. So they decide to start yelling.
They just yell, Leo, Leo! Like they're yelling his name.
And then, of course, when he orbs in, he startles them.
Yeah, it was very, very funny.
As though they weren't expecting him.
Yeah. He says that he was watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this is the very first time that the girls just yell for Leo and he shows up. So this will be a reoccurring thing throughout the show, but it started in this episode.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool to see. So he is, of course, wearing his signature white t-shirt under a blue plaid overshirt.
Yeah.
I'm assuming jeans because he always wears jeans, but we don't get to see the lower half of his body.
Yeah, they start to inform him of the situation that Piper is sick. And he's like, yeah, I know. I've been watching.
Yeah.
Which somehow he manages to make not creepy.
Yeah. But Leo has a way of making things not creepy most of the time.
Thank you, Brian Krause. Actually, thank you.
Yes.
And he also says that they also know, but won't let him interfere, and he's apparently not even supposed to be there, which, okay, that's a stupid restriction. Like, he's not supposed to be there to tell them he's not allowed to help.
Well, no, it's he's not supposed to be there, but he showed up because they called for him, but he's not supposed to be there. But I think it's very fun, though, that we still aren't given an explanation at this point as to who they are. Like, we know that they're, the other White Lighter people who call him and tell him to do things.
The elders or whatever.
But I don't think we've been told that they're the elders yet. Have we?
I feel like we discussed this in a previous episode.
I honestly don't remember. We all know my memory is crap. So
I think we discussed this in a previous episode.
If we've mentioned that he's said the elders before, please let me know, because I honestly don't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
But at any rate.
They say that he can't just let her die, and, he loves her, which he agrees that he loves her.
But he's not her White Lighter anymore. And because it wasn't evil she was fighting, his powers probably wouldn't even work, because we have learned that they only allow him to heal people when they want to.
Yeah. So we then hear the chime of them, whoever they are, calling him, and he's like, I have to go. He asks them to tell Piper that he loves her, and then he orbs out.
And Phoebe now goes, well, fuck consequences, and they start searching through
she literally says, screw the consequences.
Yeah.
And they start looking through the Book of Shadows, and then we time jump over to the hospital.
Prue and Phoebe have their jackets back on, and are walking down the corridor to her room.
And we can now see that Prue's jacket is only green and fuzzy on, like, the large collar that goes all the way down to the bottom, like, to the entire length of the coat. And it's green and fuzzy at the wrists. But the rest of the coat is actually crocheted in shades of white, brown, and orange.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was a weird coat.
That's fair, yeah.
It was a weird combo of things. Like, this crocheted thing with this fuzzy thing. It was very odd.
Yeah. Anyway, they're discussing some sort of awakening spell, which apparently needs Piper's blood and a poppet.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, a poppet is a witchcraft thing. It's a doll made to represent a person for either casting spells on that person or to aid that person through magic. I'll put a link to the wiki for poppet on the website, of course, because I'm me. So Phoebe is sure that she can get a poppet, and Prue says that she'll get the blood, and they make plans to meet back at Piper's room. So we cut over to Piper's room. The nurse is standing there, or a nurse. Don't know what nurse it is. She doesn't say a word. She's drawing blood from Piper's arm.
And Dan is there, holding Piper's hand, when Prue walks in and asks how she is.
Yeah. And we see the nurse put a small container full of Piper's blood into a tray, and then she turns her back, so Prue checks, make sure Dan isn't paying attention, checks, make sure the nurse isn't watching, and then she uses her power and floats over the blood to her. She grabs it and, like, stuffs it in her pocket. Like, seriously, woman. There are no words at all for how annoying that is to me. It's like, really? Really? That was the best way that you could think of to do that?
Yeah.
Was, here, I'll just float this up. If anybody walks in the door, they're going to see blood floating through the air.
Okay.
If the nurse happens to turn her head, 45 degrees to the left, she'll see it. But no, whatever. I get really annoyed when she uses her power in stupid ways like this.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, so she asks Dan how Piper is because she's trying to distract him. He says if there's no change, Prue promises that she'll wake up, I know it, that kind of thing. And then we cut over to Nathan's room. We remember Nathan.
Yeah, remember Nathan, guys?
Yeah. he is playing with the ninja doll when Phoebe walks in.
And he recognizes her, and he's happy that she's there. Tells her that the wizard helped him, which is real cute. And he's feeling better, and they're going to let him go home soon.
Yeah, he gets to go home in a couple days, which is really nice.
And so she goes back on the story she told him, and she tells him it's the power of positive thinking.
Yeah.
And then he corrects her, and he's like, no, it's the power of magic.
Yeah, it was kind of adorable. And then Phoebe asks if she can borrow the wizard because her sister could use a little magic. And he takes a moment, and he just kind of like stares at the ninja, stares at her, back at the ninja, and he goes, she can keep it. I don't need it anymore. And he hands her the ninja, which was kind of cute.
Very sweet.
Yep.
Sweet kid.
Yep. Too bad he dies. Ah! No, I'm kidding.
We all die.
Well, yes.
Anyway,
Phoebe thanks him, and then we cut over to Piper's room as Phoebe enters, and she's now holding her coat because the wardrobe changes in this episode. She sees that Dan is still there, and she makes some sort of like excuse about she was going to bring in soda, but the machine was broken, and she doesn't know where another one is.
And he does the helpful Dan thing where he's like, maybe I'll find a non-broken one, and leaves.
Yep. I love that she's like, are you sure? Like trying to like do that little bit of like reverse psychology of like, if I tell him he doesn't have to go, he'll positively go.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Because that's just the kind of dude Dan is.
Indeed.
Super fucking helpful.
Yeah.
And I mean that in both the genuine and sarcastic sense.
Indeed. So he leaves. Phoebe shows Prue the ninja doll, and then she puts it down on Piper's stomach, and Prue pulls out a piece of paper and the vial of blood from her pocket. And then we do a quick cut. We see Dan walking down the hall, and Dr. Williamson coming out of an elevator.
Back in Piper's room, Prue puts a drop of Piper's blood on the ninja, and then they touch the ninja and Piper and start saying the spell.
Which they're saying the line of the spell of troubled blood with sleep's unease, remove the cause of this disease.
Weird grammar, but hey, it rhymes.
It does, but I'll get to my...
It's not the worst spell.
It is not the worst spell, but I will get to my confusion in a moment. Dr. Williamson goes to open the door. Phoebe freaks out and yells to Prue, who uses her power to shut the door in the doctor's face. She just puts her hand out, and the door, like, closes on him and won't open. And she keeps her hand held out to keep the door closed. And we hear him, like, pounding on the door and yelling for them to open it. And they continue the spell with the second line of the spell, which is, sleep eternal nevermore, and shift this source of illness born to this puppet whom none shall mourn.
Yeah, there's, like, a weird middle line.
Yeah. So this is where I get very confused by this spell. This was an awakening spell, is what they called it. This does not sound like it would be an awakening spell.
Well, the whole sleep eternal nevermore thing.
Well, yes, there is
That's the only bit that makes it an awakening spell. They probably just put that in because they're like, well, we called it awakening.
Yeah. So the entire thing is troubled blood with sleep's unease, remove the cause of this disease, sleep eternal nevermore, and shift this source of illness born to this puppet whom none shall mourn. So it's basically take the disease from this person, put it into this doll that nobody's going to care about, and never let them sleep again. That's what this is saying. If you actually look at the words in this.
Well, I mean, they're a bit desperate.
Yeah.
They're desperate, very desperate.
Indeed.
And they don't really read that well.
Yeah. So they finish the spell, and Phoebe thinks that it hasn't worked because Piper isn't moving. And then suddenly she, like, springs up to a sitting position, like, gasping. And Phoebe hugs her, and then, the doctor is still pounding on the door. Prue puts her hand down on the door, flings open, and he almost falls over, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. He asked who was blocking it, and Prue says, What's up, Doc?
Yeah, which is a lovely classic line from Bugs Bunny. I'm not going to tangent on Bugs Bunny, but I'll, of course, put a link to Bugs Bunny on the website, because I'm me. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
The doctor sees that Piper is awake and immediately starts questioning her on how she feels and all that stuff. And we see Phoebe put the ninja doll into a hazardous waste bin, which totally should have had a cover on it, but doesn't. And then the camera zooms into the bin to stare at the ninja, and its eyes open.
And at this point, it's like a doll face.
Yeah.
And so the eyes open like a doll's eyes sliding open.
Yeah.
And of course, for the rest of the episode, you'll get close-ups where it looks like a doll face.
And then the faraway scenes are clearly not.
It's clearly just a little man on a green screen.
Yeah. So then we cut outside the room where nurses are frantically running into Piper's room because, the doctor is freaking out because, there's she's awake. Why is she awake? That sort of thing. And we see Dan, who is carrying 3 cans of soda, and he follows the nurses into the room. Piper notices him, sees the cans, adorably asks if they're for her, and then Dan just kind of drops them as he runs over and hugs her. Yeah. It was kind of cute.
I feel sorry for whoever was going to open those cans.
Yeah. The doctor is, of course, rightfully confused because Piper is completely back to normal and healthy.
There's no sign of any fever. She's not even sweaty.
Yeah. So Piper asks if she can go home, and he's like, no. I need to order some more tests. Which, means he's good at his job.
Yes.
So there's that.
She asks if she can go home after the test because she hates hospitals.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, the last time they were in a hospital, it wasn't a good time.
No, it wasn't.
So Phoebe and Prue and Dan all laugh at this, little, she hates hospitals. That's cute, And then they all kind of climb into the bed and lay all over Piper, which is met with a lively line of Piper of, "Get off me!" Which was so cute.
She's being smothered.
Yeah, it was adorable. And then we cut back into the bin, and the ninja sits up, and then a nurse walks over and puts something into the bin, and then the ninja, pushes his little plastic sword, through the thin plastic sheeting of the bin and pokes the nurse in the leg.
Yeah, this is why those are supposed to, be a bag inside a receptacle.
Yeah.
Because then, if, a needle or a scalpel or whatever pokes through the plastic...
Yep.
You don't have to worry. Also, that plastic's supposed to be super thick.
Yep.
So that doesn't happen that easily.
Yep. Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. So, he pokes the nurse in the leg, she says ow, and, rubs her foot, and then she just walks away from it. And then we see the ninja cut a lovely X through the plastic, and he jumps out and he swings his sword around.
Yeah.
And I legit was like, and nobody notices this?
Yep.
I would have probably noticed this if all of a sudden there's this thing moving around on the floor that shouldn't be there. Nobody hears the plastic ripping. Nothing.
Nope.
Whatever. Anyway. But then we get to time jump. Okay? We get an exterior night shot of P3. There's nobody outside. The doors are closed, and we can see the doors are painted a lovely shade of purple. And there's still no now appearing sign or the additional P3 sign on the wall. Inside, Prue is working the DJ booth. She's got a top on that's got a large flower on it, but that's all we can see at this point. Phoebe is now in a very short, slightly shiny blue skirt that had a vague flower pattern thing on it. Mm-hmm. And a slightly cropped, fuzzy, long-sleeve blue shirt. This is the episode of Fuzzy Outfits.
Apparently.
Yeah. Piper, who has been let out of the hospital, is in a very Prue outfit. She is in a sheer black shirt over a black bra with black pants.
Mm-hmm.
And, the black shirt has, lacing detail,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was... I don't know how to describe it. It looked like it was, black lace, kind of, but it wasn't. It was sheer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually there'll be pictures,
There's some random employee wiping down a table, and Piper calls out to him and tells him that he can go home now, because everybody else is gone.
Mm-hmm. So he leaves, and Phoebe runs over to Dan, who's sitting down, and he is in, a silky-looking long-sleeve shirt and black pants. And she kind of pulls him up and says, dance with me, which I think was very funny that Phoebe was the one doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, it's almost 2 a.m., so now we get a time frame on that.
So she kind of pulls him over to Piper and then leaves him and goes over to Prue.
Yeah. And Dan puts his arms around Piper, who asks if he needs a nap, which is kind of funny. And he's like, well, it's not fair. You got to sleep for almost 24 hours. And she tells him how sweet it is that he stayed by her side. And then they kiss and they, rub noses. It was kind of, sickly cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she tells him to go home because, he's tired.
Yes. So he leaves. And then Piper walk over to Prue and Phoebe, who are playing patty cake.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
It was so cute.
They're very, very, childish right here. It's adorable.
Yeah, they have they have childish energy is what they have right now.
Yes, that is what they do.
Yeah. So we can now see that Prue's outfit is actually a handkerchief-style top with fringe over a mesh skirt with fringe.
Fringe and fuzz.
Yeah, it was an interesting outfit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Piper then confronts them about casting a spell, which they try to deny, but she totally sees through it. She says that she's grateful, but she's of course worried about personal gain.
Phoebe's says, like, it's been hours and we've seen no consequences, which means there must be none.
Uh-huh. Because if you haven't seen them, they don't exist.
Uh-huh.
Indeed.
If you bring a snowball into Congress, well, clearly the Earth isn't getting warmer.
Yeah. No political. Anyway, so...
I don't know the difference between weather and climate. I didn't go to school for this shit.
Yeah. There is a difference between weather and climate, just like there's a difference between gender and sex. Just saying.
Wow, novel concept.
Anyway, Prue says that maybe saving a protector of the innocent isn't really personal gain.
Which is just a line where you're like, oh, you're going to regret that, sweetie.
Yeah, a
you're
little bit.
So going to regret that.
Yep.
Like, what logic even is that? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Piper, doesn't really believe them, but she's happy that they didn't call Leo.
And there's a little look between them where they're just like, we're not telling you that.
Yep. So she says that, even after all the demons that they faced, this was the scariest thing that they have faced. Mm-hmm. And they all exchange I love yous, and then they hug. And then Prue has a moment of clarity in her brain. She remembers the Monet that she has to authenticate and decides that because she's wide awake, she might as well go do that now.
Why not?
Right. So she leaves, and Piper's like, yeah, I should probably finish cleaning up the club. And so she starts to do that.
Phoebe kind of stands there, like, dancing and moving her arms. And then she turns to Piper and sees Piper is moving very quickly. Like, they sped up the footage quickly.
Yeah.
And she gets faster and faster and faster.
Yep.
And she seems to be, like, cleaning tables over and over and, like, resetting them. Like, she'll wipe one down and then, like, put stuff up. And then, like, it's very montage-y.
She moved through, like, cleaning off 3 tables and then cleaning off the bar and then back to cleaning off those 3 tables and then cleaning off the bar. It's like they took the one bit of footage that they had and played it 3 times.
Could be.
Is what happened there. So Phoebe yells out to get Piper's attention, and
Piper kind of like, she's like flashes to standing in front of her, and she's like, what is it? And she's like, Phoebe says,
I think we found a consequence. Yeah. So then we get an exterior night shot of the hospital, which is slightly further away than the day shot was. And the nurse that was poked by the ninja is now lying in the bed and, breathing heavily because she's sick now. And another nurse walks out of the room. She picks up a phone and she dials and asks to talk to Dr. Williamson. So then we cut over to Dr. Williamson in another room where his cell phone rings. And he answers it, and he tells the person on the phone to put the people in that room on the same fake antibiotic that was mentioned earlier.
Even though it probably won't do anything.
Yep. And then he starts to walk down the hall, and as he hangs up the phone, a Dr. Siegler from the CDC walks up to him. Siegler is played by Daniel Reichart?
Reichart.
Sure.
With the ich.
Yeah. It's a German.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because there's the one at the front of the mouth and there's the one at the back of the mouth.
Yeah.
So the and then there's a and
sure.
This is a
okay. Anyway.
German 101.
Uh-huh.
With someone who doesn't actually speak it.
Yeah.
I took German diction, though, so.
Well, all right, then. So there's not much to say about him. He was born in 1962, he started acting in 1991, and he hasn't done anything since 2013. He doesn't even have a picture on IMDb.
Oh, poor thing. Poor thing.
So there's that.
Ziegler and... I'm calling him Ziegler.
It's Siegler?
It looks like it should be said Seigler.
Well, but it isn't. He says it's Siegler, so that's how we pronounce it.
Whatever. Ziegler and Williamson have a bit of a back and forth. And apparently...
Talk about how the CDC can help, kind of that thing,
Apparently Aurora fever isn't supposed to be contagious because it's, transmitted through A. bidiphysanthiae, which dies. And they're like, but now there's 3 patients with the disease in isolation.
Yeah.
And neither of them are sure when it happens. But they know it's got something to do with Piper Halliwell.
Yep, because she's the first one that came in with it, so it's got to be her fault somehow.
Yes. And, of course, we end the scene on her name.
Yep.
Because cliffhanger, or lead up, or something. I don't know. We cut to black. Either way.
Yeah. Well, we don't really cut to black.
Fine, we cut to the next scene.
Yeah, we jump into the next shot, which is actually a very pretty sunrise shot of a skyline, including the Triangle Building, before we jump into the exterior of Buckland's. And we see Jack walking into Prue's office. He is now wearing black pants and a black jacket over a grayish-blue shirt. And Prue is sitting at the edge of her desk looking at the painting, and she has also changed clothes. She is now wearing an ivory jacket over a black shirt and a tan skirt. So again, it's a bit work appropriate. It's very weird.
A bit.
That this is the day she decides to wear work appropriate stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, Jack asks how Piper is, so Prue tells him that she's fully recovered, and then kind of brushes past that and says that they need to talk about something serious.
Yeah.
She tells him, this thing isn't real, even though it looks perfect. They can't ignore the truth and pretend there's nothing wrong. And because she's being so goddamn vague, Jack thinks that they're talking about the relationship. Yeah. But she's talking about the Monet, because now she knows that she's positive Monet didn't paint it. One of his students did.
Yeah, so Jack doesn't see the harm in someone believing in something that's not completely the truth, and he tries to convince Prue to not look so closely at things.
And she kind of looks up at him and asks if he's talking about the Monet.
Yeah. He says that, he is talking about the painting and other things, meaning their relationship. And he just kind of tells her to go with it. And then we get, this dramatic push-in on the painting.
Yeah, and I'm just worried about Jack's ethics at this point.
Well...
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, again, because we can't stay in one place too long...
Nope.
We now cut over to hazmat trucks pulling up outside P3.
There's a bunch of people in hazmat suits getting out of those trucks and running up to the club.
Yep, and one of the doors is now wide open.
Yeah.
For some a la convenience reason. And the small P3 sign is now on the wall outside.
Why?
Yeah, so there's that.
Weirdness.
Yep. And then so we see Dr. Siegler walking up to Phoebe and Piper inside the club, and he introduces himself saying that he's got a court order to take them into custody and to quarantine the club until further notice.
And we go straight into commercial break.
Yeah. Now here's my funniness in this scene, is that they're wearing these hazmat suits, but they've put the helmet part of the hazmat suit on last. So there's a bib on the helmet that's just laying on top of their clothes. It's a hazmat suit. That part is supposed to go underneath the suit.
Well, they have pink sheets in the hospital and a fake antibiotic. I don't know why you think the hazmat suits would be accurate.
I know, but it annoys me sometimes when it's
I
really? You go through all of this trouble to be CDC this and hazmat suits, but then you don't wear them properly? Thank you for the head pats.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyway, so when we come back from our commercial break, we get another exterior shot of the hospital, this time from yet a third angle. And then there's lots of reporters and cameras there and inside, and they're asking Dr. Williamson questions. And he's saying that it's not an epidemic, but that the CDC guy can give them more info. And, that there's been an outbreak, but they've contained it.
And a reporter's like, how can you be sure it's contained? So he says, we've identified the initial carrier.
Yeah.
And they ask who the name of the carrier is. And while he won't give them the name, he says that they've put her into isolation.
Yeah. So the first reporter asks how they're sure it's contained, and then a different reporter asks what the name of the carrier is, and she asks who he is.
Mm-hmm.
I love how she assumed that it was a male carrier, which is just kind of funny. But so the first reporter...
Male carrier.
Yes. So the first reporter who asked how he was sure it was contained is played by Jennifer Massey. There's not a lot to say about her. She's been acting since 1992. And the only thing that was interesting that I thought is that she was the voice of Madison Lee in the video games Fallout 3 and Fallout 4.
Nice.
Yeah. She hasn't done anything since 2015 when Fallout 4 came out. It's the last thing that she did. The second reporter was played by Lisa Ann Grant. She acted between 1994 and 2005 and hadn't done anything else until this year when she has an animated movie in post-production.
Okay.
That's literally all I could find about them. So there you go.
Not much.
Not much.
We cut over to Dan's house. He's watching the report on the news.
Which is apparently, showing live.
Yeah. And, the reporter, he watches the reporter ask if they've shut down P3. And Dr. Williams hands the mic to Dr. Seeger. And he says that they've quarantined P3 as a precautionary measure. So Dan is like, well, shit. And he grabs his keys and leaves.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. So then we cut back to the hospital, where Piper and Phoebe are now locked in a room in an isolation ward. And Phoebe's knocking on the window. And after a moment, a nurse talks into the intercom outside the window saying, she can't hear into the room, asks what they want. And Phoebe's like, we want to get out of here. And the nurse tells them to just wait for the doctor. And Piper's like, I feel fine. And the nurse is like, just wait for the doctor. And then she walks away. And this is our Asian American nurse.
Yeah. And she's
But her face is completely covered by a mask. So if you couldn't tell by her voice or her eyes that she was Asian American, there was literally no reason she could have just been nurse number 3.
Yeah.
But no.
Whatever.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Piper makes a snide little comment about how they're lucky they're in another room or she'd freeze them.
Yeah.
And then the door opens and Prue gets shoved in.
Yep. And they're excited to see her, but then they realize that, she's stuck there as well. And all 3 of them are wearing very tight-fitting white hospital gowns.
Like they looked like they were once regular hospital gowns that just got cinched in at the waist.
Yeah, but they're like completely white. They look like they've been tuck pointed at the boobs. Like they look like they are designer hospital gowns.
I know, right?
Like, yeah. It was very funny because it's just like, why? Why? No, why?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it didn't look bad on them.
No,
and, like,
it's fine. It was actually appropriate for the situation.
Yeah, and like if you had been anywhere else, they would have been cute little white dresses.
All 3 of them are dressed appropriately.
Yeah. But what I did think was very interesting is that Piper still has on a bracelet and her watch.
Yeah.
They didn't take any of their jewelry. Like Phoebe, in the scene before, I believe Phoebe had like flowers in her hair in the club scene. And now her hair is just pulled back with a couple of bobby pins.
Yeah.
So like they didn't take any metal off of them.
Apparently not.
Which is quite interesting, but whatever. So
whatever. We learned that apparently when Prue got home, there was some CDC person who took about a quart of blood from her and brought her to the hospital.
Yeah, and Piper is worried that the club is going to get ruined because it's been shut down. But Phoebe tries to reassure her that everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine.
Prue mentions that she overheard the nurses talking about other people being infected, which confuses Phoebe because, the doctor told all of them that
it wasn't contagious.
Prue goes over to the door and wonders if anyone can hear them.
And then when she's told, that nobody can hear them, she goes, have either of you slept? And then they realize that none of them have, and that's probably a consequence of the awakening spell, but it's not the only consequence.
No, certainly not.
Yeah. And then, again, because we can't stay in one place too long.
We never do.
Yeah. We cut over to Nathan's room, where he is sleeping in a different set of sports pajamas, and a nurse is checking on him. And as she leaves the room, she closes the door behind her, and we see a tiny bloody sword stop the door from closing completely. Like it drips a little drop of blood on the floor.
Yeah, it's supposed to be plastic too, which is just making this really funny.
Yep. And then the ninja walks in and like looks around. And then we cut back to the girls as Dr. Williamson walks in with no mask, no hazmat suit, no nothing, because apparently he has ruled out the disease being airborne, which makes Piper think that means that they're free to go. But he's like, no, you have to stay. And Phoebe's all like, you can't hold us. And
of course, by law, he can.
Yeah.
Because Piper opened uninspected fruit.
Yeah.
And she's a carrier for a rare disease that could cause an epidemic.
Yeah.
And Phoebe's like, well, you said Arroyo fever isn't contagious, so maybe you misdiagnosed it.
And he's like, no, I didn't. Yeah. No, I didn't.
No.
But he also says that, Piper's recovery makes no clinical sense.
Because her blood has 0 antibodies. It looks like she never had the disease. She should be dead by now.
Yeah. Piper asks if he believes in miracles, but he says that he doesn't believe in ones that leave no trace.
Do you believe in miracles?
Yes.
Where you from? Your socks a thing.
Yeah. Anyway, he wants to run more tests on them to find out how Piper survived and why the other girls haven't gotten sick at all, because there are now 6 other people infected. And he says that, they're staying until he's done running all of his tests, and then he leaves.
Yeah, Piper wonders how it is that 6 people got infected. And Prue makes the connection, and she realizes that the awakening spell awakened everything in the room.
Including the disease itself.
And the poppet.
Well, I don't think at this point she has made... No, I don't think at this point she's made the connection that the poppet got awakened. But that the disease itself got awakened.
Okay, yeah.
Somehow that connection works for her.
Yeah.
So Phoebe wonders if their blood is different because they're witches.
Maybe.
Because, they're taking all of this blood is there the possibility that they're going to know? Prue says that they have to figure out how to save the infected people. Piper says that the way to do that is to reverse the spell.
Prue slams on the brakes, and she's like, if we do that, you'll go back into a coma and die.
Yeah.
And Piper's like, well, you can just call Leo to heal her. And then both Prue and Phoebe have to let it slip that, oh, we already tried that, and he's not allowed to help.
Yeah, well, because it was very funny, because she's like, yeah, well, you can just call Leo. And they're like, but you told us not to call Leo. And she goes, yeah, well, that's when I thought I was just sick, not dying. It's nice to know that she has that little thought process of, if I'm sick, he can't do anything. But if I'm dying, he'll come and help me.
Yeah.
But so, yeah.
She's like, I'd rather be alive than in an awkward situation with my boyfriend.
My ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my current boyfriend.
I'd rather be alive than avoid an awkward situation with my current boyfriend and my ex.
Yeah. So Prue says they've already talked to Leo and that he's not allowed to help. And then Piper gets upset that they've already talked to Leo.
Which makes Phoebe get defensive.
Yeah.
And
she's
Prue's
like,
well,
but you just told us to go. And she's like, no, you know. And then Prue's like, well, we don't even know how to reverse the spell. So after a bit of prodding, they try and convince Prue to astral project back to the house to get the spell from the Book of Shadows.
And of course, since this is a pretty new power for her, she's like, I can't do that on command, guys.
Yeah.
But Piper, puts on her serious mom voice and just tells her to concentrate and control it like she does her other power.
Yeah, it's like, you learned how to control your other power, you can learn how to control this one. Just concentrate and do it.
Yeah.
So Prue objects, but Piper finally talks her into it, and so she shuts her eyes, and she tries to astral project.
And with a gasp, appears with a nice little, glowy outline expanding outward into the attic at the manor.
Yeah, she starts flipping through the book, and then we see back at the hospital another patient being wheeled in, and, the nurse looks into the room, and she sees Prue just standing still with her eyes closed, and she clicks the intercom and is like, what's wrong with her? And as soon as Phoebe's just like, nothing's wrong with her, she's fine, the nurse just walks away.
Yeah.
Really? First of all,
it's weird that they would, pick up on that, because she's standing.
Yeah, she's standing with her eyes closed, but she doesn't look like she's in any distress.
Yeah.
She's just standing there.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand why they had the nurse look in the room at all.
I could not tell you.
Yeah. I don't know. It was weird. Anyway, so back in the attic, Prue has flipped through. She finds the Reverse Awakening spell on the page next to the Woogie Man spell, which I thought was kind of interesting. And she tries to remember the spell. I said interesting.
It sounded like you,
I said interesting.
alighted of an interesting. No. A fun interesting.
I found it interesting. Anyway, it's a little interesting. And so she tries to remember the spell by repeating it to herself several times, a few times. So the spell written in the Book of Shadows is this. What was awakened from its sleep must once again slumber deep. Return the disease to whence it came, so life can ease back to the same.
Again, weird grammar.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be from whence it came?
Possibly, but that's not how it was written.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So remember that. 4 lines is what this thing is. Okay? So
better rhyming scheme than the last one, at least.
Very true. So then we cut back to the hospital where the little ninja dude is jumping around Nathan's room. He's been in there a long time and hasn't done anything. It was very weird.
He's probably just, attracted to motion. He's been walking around, and it's mostly, nurses and stuff that he's pricked.
I guess.
Because, remember, with the original bag he was in, he saw the outline of the nurse's legs, and he's like, oh, hey, movement.
I guess, but it's just interesting that, he's been in that room a long time and hasn't done anything. Mm-hmm. Just saying. So, we get one more moment of seeing Prue reading the spell in the attic, and then she astral projects back into her body with yet another gasp. And Piper asks if she got the spell, and then when Prue hesitates, she reminds her that there's no magical out for her. Mm-hmm. They need to save the others, don't worry about me, just do it. And then we get a very, very dizzy-making camera movement thing, where the camera is spinning around the girls. Mm-hmm. I couldn't watch.
Yeah.
It literally made me dizzy. And then Prue says the first line of the spell, what was awakened from its sleep must once again slumber deep. And that's it. She just says that one line. And then she and Phoebe touch Piper, and they repeat that first line of the spell twice. And then we cut over to Nathan's room.
Yeah.
So they don't even say the second half of the spell.
Nope. I mean, I guess you're supposed to infer that they do, just while we're cut away.
But we weren't cut away for that long, because we cut to Nathan's room, and we see the ninja's on the bed, and he's swinging his sword, and then he raises his arms, holding the sword, getting ready to stab Nathan, and then immediately turns back into a doll, falls onto the floor with a clatter that wakes Nathan up. Mm-hmm. And then we cut back to the girls, and Piper instantly collapses to the floor.
Yep.
So, like, there wasn't a whole lot of time where she could have been like, here's the first line, let's say that twice, now here's the second line.
Yeah.
No, so they only said the first line of the spell, and somehow it still worked.
Whatever.
Just saying.
Probably, the rest of it probably ended up on the cutting room floor, because they're like, we don't have time for this.
But, yeah. Anyway.
Prue bangs on the door, yelling for help.
Yeah.
And Dr. Williamson and some other doctors run in. They pick up Piper, put her on a bed, and then he starts, asking them questions about what the fuck's going on. And tries to help Piper. Phoebe is audibly and visibly crying, and Prue's tearing up a little.
And, like, the entire scene is a little bit in slow motion.
Like, they ran the footage at about, 80% speed.
Yeah. It was that, slight, just, laggy bit of, we're gonna slow this down so that it becomes emotional.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then we go to commercial break, because why wouldn't we?
Mm-hmm. Our last commercial break of the episode.
Indeed. When we come back from the commercial break, we get an exterior shot of the hospital, back from the first angle that we had, but it's a slightly different shot.
And we see Dan run in and demand to know what room Piper's in, because he's family.
Yeah. And I immediately was like, no, you're not.
You're fucking not.
Yeah, but, that was just my bias. So then we cut to Piper, as Dr. Williamson gives the nurse instructions, and she races off, and Dan comes in the door, and the girls are still crying. And we get a few random shots of the doctors and the nurses shoving needles into tubes. And then we see Piper's spirit rise out of her body. And there's a bright light. And she winds up in this, cloudy golden light, thing.
Stereotypical heavenly limbo place.
Yeah. And we hear the sound of somebody orbing in. So we immediately know that it's Leo. And he walks toward her. And he tells her to take his hands. And she says that she's confused as to, what's up.
On?
And he's like, I want to heal you. And then we do a quick cut back to the room where they're using the defibrillation paddles and it's not working. And we cut back to Leo and Piper and he's like, we have to hurry because I don't want to lose you. And then he holds his hands above her hands. And we cut back to the room again where Piper is now flatlining. And a nurse calls out time of death at 9:40 a.m.
Which nurses don't
do. Doctors do that.
And also, she hasn't been flatlining for that long.
Yeah, well, there is that. But then we cut back to Piper and Leo. And Leo heals her, even though for some reason he wasn't able to before. And they don't know that he's there. And yet he's still able to do it. It's a whole big thing of why is it working kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then we cut back to the room where Piper now floats back down into her body and the monitor starts beeping and she starts coughing and Dr. Williamson is very confused and Piper just kind of says, Leo.
And Dan kind of has this hitching sob because he's full out fucking crying. He sees her wake up and he's right there and he hears her saying Leo and he kind of has this hitch in his breath and then his face just kind of falls.
Yeah, he went to, hold her hand, oh my god, she's back, and then hears the word Leo, and, he gets all sullen, and just backs up, and kind of, just leaves the moment, and is just done.
Prue and Phoebe run over and kiss and hug, and one nurse is like, well, her pulse is strong. Another one asks what happened.
Yeah.
And Dr. Williamson says,
I don't know, but I'm gonna find out. Yeah. And then we kind of fade into the sign for Buckland's, and we get to see Brown Suit Man walk by.
Hi,
our little time
Suit
traveler.
Man.
Yep. And inside Prue's office, Prue is now putting all of her stuff into a box when Jack walks in. She has, yet again, changed her outfit. This time she is in a blue zip-up crop top hoodie.
Oh, yes. She loves them crop top hoodies.
Yep. Under a shiny purple jacket thing with large black buttons. Jack walks in wearing a long-sleeve black shirt and what looks like black velvet pants. Like they were textured pants.
Yeah.
Just saying.
We find out that Prue has quit her job, as though we didn't already know that, from her packing a box of her desk.
Mm-hmm. And Jack is not happy about it.
No.
Yeah.
Prue isn't happy that Buckland's is willing to sell an inauthentic painting as long as someone is willing to buy it. Mm-hmm. And they never would have done that before the takeover.
Yeah. She also tells Jack that she's been thinking about this for a while because she's seen a lot of shit in the past year and a half. And it's changed her and changed her way of thinking.
Mm-hmm. He asks her what she's going to do. And she's like, I don't know, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah. She also breaks off whatever relationship it was that they had going, gives him a goodbye kiss, and is like, I need to be alone for a while.
Yeah.
So she grabs her box and she leaves, and we can see that she's wearing jeans with this outfit. So again, with the exception of it being a crop top, still very work appropriate. I think it's very, very interesting that the day she decides to be nearly completely work appropriate at work is the day she quits.
I wouldn't know that I'd call jeans work appropriate, but they're more work appropriate than other things she's worn.
Yes. But like the other outfits that she has worn today,
it would have been the height of irony if she was wearing a business suit while packing up her desk.
Yes, that would have been very, very funny.
But this at least has the casual vibe to it.
Yeah, it's like casual Friday.
Whereas like a lot of her outfits didn't exactly have a casual vibe. They had more of a club vibe going. Mm-hmm. Or a businessy vibe.
Yeah. But I just
or a club business vibe. They never had a casual vibe going. Not really. Not a whole lot of them. And not that casual. Not jeans casual. I don't know that she's worn jeans to the office, except for that one bit when they were at the lake.
Yeah.
And that was just a quick thingy.
Yeah, I just think it's very interesting that the one day she decides to be, like, complete business appropriate is the day she decides to quit. And I just think that's funny.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. Mm-hmm. So, Prue quitting her job ensures that her life will not turn out the way that it was when they went to the future. So, this is where we have to wonder, does Prue quitting her job change things for her sisters as well?
Well, of course it does, but everything changes things for the sisters. You know, my whole spiel, and I'm pretty sure I've done this, about, like, time travel stuff and changing futures is, as long as you're doing it from the point of the past, like, that's fine. If you're doing it from, like, a present day and you're trying to go back into the past to change something in the present day, that's where it gets iffy, because then like you get paradoxical.
Yeah.
Like, and well, the reason you went back has changed, so would you go back? Like, it's weird.
Yeah.
And unless you have some really good physics to back you up, I'm just like, paradox. But, you know, going into the future and then changing it, I'm fine with. So, like, obviously it's gonna change things.
Yeah.
But things were gonna have changed anyway because they saw, oh yeah, maybe we shouldn't tease our neighbor and throw shit onto his shoe.
Yeah, I still don't understand why that made him think which, but you know.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, we're not going to go back to that episode. I've talked about that during that episode. So, but it's just interesting to me that, like, this one change of, I'm going to quit my job at Buckland's, means that their entire futures are going to be different. You know, she'll never go blonde now.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, she doesn't.
Nope. Anyway.
Phoebe kind of does.
Well, we'll get there when we get
there.
I know. So, back to the show. We get our last scene. We are
back at P3.
Back at P3. We get an exterior night shot of P3. The small P3 sign is now gone.
Yeah.
Yet again. But there are people standing in line to get in. And inside, Piper hands a box of fruit to a guy saying that they haven't been inspected, so they're returning them to the supplier. So, you know, she's learned her lesson the hard way.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the dude takes the box and hightails it out of there.
Yeah. Piper is wearing a long sleeve fuzzy blue shrug over a blue dress. Like I said, this is the episode of Fuzzy Outfits.
Uh-huh.
And she walks up to Prue and Phoebe. Now, Prue is in a very, very shiny, very tiny silver top and black pants.
Shiny tiny.
Yeah. And Phoebe is in a shirt that I swear to God looks like it's made from the front of a pair of jeans. It's held up by black strings. She's wearing black pants with it, but it really does look like if you took your jeans and put them on your boobs. That's what it looked like. Pockets, zipper, everything.
Oh man.
It was a shirt made out of jeans. And
that's very early aughts.
Yeah, it was definitely indicative of the season.
Yeah. They were mentioning that the club wasn't hurt too bad despite being quarantined.
Yep.
And Piper's like, well, no cover charge and free drinks are helping.
Yeah.
Which, okay, isn't that like a majority of your revenue?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that actually like all of your revenue?
Yeah, probably. But I think she probably just did it for like that day to get people back in the club being like, yes, everything's fine.
I feel like maybe making the first drink free would be a good strategy.
Well, but that could have been.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know how many drinks they got for free, but yeah. Mm-hmm. So she then asks if they've seen Dan.
And they both say no a little too fast.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
And then they let her know that they heard her call out Leo's name, and more importantly, Dan did
heard.
too.
Yeah. And she's like, well, but that wasn't... And they're like, yeah, we know that it was Leo saving you, but Dan doesn't know that. But at least you're alive to try to explain things to him. Mm-hmm. And then Phoebe says that Prue quitting her job was brave. And then we see Leo walking in his tan shirt with like the white stripe on the chest and the arms.
Yeah.
You know,
Prue
typical
and Phoebe
Leo outfit.
Kind of do this like pointing him out thing to Piper.
And they tell her to thank him for them. And then Piper walks over to him and he's like, how are you feeling? And she says that she's tired. And then she thanks him.
He tells her, of course, that he couldn't let her die.
Yeah.
And then she asks him if he got in trouble. And he's like, yeah,
I got in a lot of trouble.
They kind of clipped my wings. And she starts to freak out. And he's like, oh, it's not permanent. It's more like a suspension.
I hope.
Like Andy turning in his badge.
Yeah.
And he's like, I hope we have a second chance. She's like, about that. I'm still with Dan. That's not changed.
Yeah. But, he says that now that he's mortal, he's going to fight for her. And he ends with the best line, right? May the best man win. It's so cliche.
It's so cliche. And more importantly, he's like, I hope I have a second chance. She gives him a soft no, and he promptly ignores it.
Yeah, well...
I like Leo, but this is a bit of a douchey move.
I get that, but I know that, at least for me...
I get that she likes it, too.
Yeah, because
that's kind of what she wants, because she is still in love with him. But it's still just that's not the best message you want to send.
Well, true. But we end right before the end credits, we end on a shot of Piper trying very hard not to smile. So we know that she's still kind of into it.
Yeah.
But, I get where you're coming from. Where it is, oh, really? You're going to fight over me even though I've basically told you no? But you also have to get where Leo is coming from of, you can tell me things. You don't have to lie to me about being a witch. You have to lie to Dan. Do you really want to have to lie for the rest of your life? Or do you want to be with the guy you don't have to lie to?
I just know for me, if I was dating someone and an ex... Oh, that's funny, thinking about me having an ex... came up and was like, hey, I think we should give it another go. I'm like, dude, I'm dating someone. And they were just like, well, yeah, but, I'm here now. Come on, dude,
But you also have to...
I'm dating... yeah, I care about you, but, maybe don't try and insinuate yourself into my life in a way I have just told you I am with another person.
But it's a slightly different situation.
Well, I just know for me,
that
would set me off, and I'd just be like, you asked for a second chance, I gave you a soft no, and you refused to take no for an answer. So now you're not getting it.
But again, that's very much you with the, I'm dating this person, my ex comes into the picture, tries to get back with me, I say no, and they still are like, well, I'm going to fight for you anyway, would turn you off. And I get that.
If they just say, well, I hope you change your mind, and I'm going to respect your decision, then I'd be like, great.
But
this is awesome.
But we have seen from the past interactions that Piper is still very much in love with Leo.
Oh, I get
and
that.
Leo knows it. And Leo's like, well, I know you're still in love with me, so I'm going to fight for you because...
That still feels really unfair to me.
Well, of course it is. Of course it is. But, two-dimensional TV show...
I know.
Versus three-dimensional real people.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Blue?
Blue cares not.
Blue, do you have any exes? He actually looked around like, I don't remember.
It's okay, Blue. Go back to bed. But yeah, that's the end of the episode. We end on Piper trying not to smile at Leo. It's kind of cute. So that brings us to our rating portion of the evening.
You're going first.
I figured I was. You probably don't even know what you're rating yet, do you?
I'm working on it.
All right. So I am giving it a 4 out of 10 life-changing decisions. It would have been a 3 out of 10, but the last scene with Leo kind of pushed it up a little bit for me. I can't handle the stupid little ninja. I just couldn't do it. Though it was, like I said, it was much better than I had been remembering it being.
Yeah, you gave it a whole 2 points more than The Wedding from Hell.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 Ninja Wizard dolls. Because I don't have as much of a problem with this as you do. Is it kitschy? Sure. Do I laugh at the green screen work? Yes, I do. But overall, I don't want to skip it during a watch through.
Well, that's good. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily an episode that I would skip through on a rewatch.
Well, no, because remember I explained how my rating system goes? Anything below a 5, I just don't want to watch again. Mm-hmm. Whether or not I will skip it, I think I absolutely will not watch a 1. 2 is almost non-negotiable, unless it's heavy in plot importance. A 3 is negotiable. 4, it's just like, do I have to watch this now? Nah. And it goes up from there.
Yeah. For me, there's a lot of episodes that I'd probably never watch again. Mm-hmm. But there are some episodes that I'm sure are bad episodes in my brain, but I'll still watch them again if they're on.
Yeah.
I won't, actively seek them out.
Yeah.
But, if I happen to be scrolling through TV and there happens to be an episode on, I'll be like, oh, all right. Or if, I could walk into the room and somebody else is watching it, I'm like, all right, I can sit through this one with them.
Yeah.
But, I won't actively seek them out. This one I wouldn't actively seek out, but if it was on, I'd sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
So, there's that. That brings us to our outfits of the day. Do you have an outfit that you liked the best?
I do. Caldwell's pinstripe suit.
Really?
Yeah.
Of all of the outfits?
Yeah.
That's the one you like the best, huh?
Yeah. I like pinstripes.
Interesting. For me, for both Prue and Piper, it was the outfits they were wearing at the end. So it was the silver shirt outfit for Prue and the blue dress for Piper. I liked those the best. But for Phoebe, this entire episode, I legit was like, what outfit did I like of hers? And the only one that, was not crazy was actually the white hospital gown.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing where I was like, yeah, all right, I could deal with that one.
You can dig that.
Yeah, but so that's it. We are down to social media.
Social media.
Social media time. Which actually, before we get there, we have to thank yet another Patreon donator who donated at the $1 tier for $20.
Oh,
How
yeah.
awesome is that?
Very, very awesome.
So cool. Thank you so much. They would like to only be known by their Twitter handle, which is Cthulhu Lorax, which is just the coolest name. I love it.
Which I, in my head, shortened to Cthulhu Rax.
Yep. So we would like to thank them very, very much for being awesome and giving us $20 at the $1 tier.
Oh, yeah.
That's so cool. Thank you so, so much. So, you can always find us at charmchats.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can email us at charmchats@gmail.com. Let us know any questions you may have, concerns, comments, anything at all.
Yes.
We
Particular musical tastes, whatever.
Yeah, anything. You can find us
on Twitter and Tumblr at
CharmChatsPod. Yeah.
We have an Instagram, Pinterest, no LinkedIn. Sorry.
Nope.
That's at Charm Chats.
Yep. And our Facebook. Yeah, you can find us on Facebook at Charm Chats. And of course, the Patreon. Thank you very much to Kenneth and to Cthulhu Lorax for your awesome Patreon donations. You guys are awesome. Thank you so, so much. As well as all of our other patrons. We love you all very, very much. We would also ask, if you are listening to us on iTunes, that you go ahead and rate and review us on iTunes. Right now we have 12 reviews. We have a 5-star rating, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So cool.
Oh my god, yeah.
But yeah, that's about it. I think we're done.
Yeah, I think we are.
I think we're done for yet another week. So until next time.
Sleep tight. Don't let the warlocks bite.
Bye!
Phoebe, Piper and Prue, they've got evil to slay and some potions to brew. So we'll see where it's at this week with Kendra and Kat on Charm.